right, so let's get straight into today's show. We're going to have a look at some of the most undervalued altcoins, specifically new altcoins from this particular cycle, which could do potentially well for the rest of the altcoin cycle, which is about to play out. Let's just quickly, we have it. All right, let's get into it. So if you have a look at Bitcoin over here, cycle is following exactly according to plan. This means Bitcoin dominance is very, very soon to breaking down. And that means that we have to be positioned in the right altcoins. In today's show, we're going to attempt to break down what some of those positions could be. I'm going to be giving you 9 altcoins, which you can basically get allocated into today, and these should perform pretty well through the rest of the cycle. So we're going to have a look at where we're at within this particular cycle. If you look at this chart over here on Bitcoin, just highlighting the purple bouncing on and off the screen over there, that is our current cycle. And you can see we tend to have this massive price appreciation for the final 40 to 45% of the crypto cycle, which means, at least according to me, I believe we're about 60 to 65% of the way through the cycle. And we've had a look as well pretty closely towards how we've tracked in comparison to 2012, 2016, and 2020 cycle. We're currently in the 2024 cycle, which I'm popping on and off the screen as well. And this shows that we're following exactly according to plan. And if things play out the way they did in the prior cycle, leading into specifically this December, that could kick off that altcoin season. We'll take a closer look at everything related to the altcoin season index and where we're currently situated. And then again, I'll give you those 9 picks. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get straight into the show content. Now, I wanted to have a look at Bitcoin on a yearly time frame, and you can see a pretty cyclical path in the sense that the final year for the Bitcoin runs typically puts in a massive run, right? You can see over there, you can see over there. And now we're expecting that next year we should be going into that final expansive move towards the upside for Bitcoin. And that typically also correlates with a very, very big drop with the Bitcoin dominance chart. If you look at this on a yearly scale, we've seen this each and every single time where that final year leads to the massive drop on the yearly scale of the Bitcoin candle. You have that drop there, you have that drop there, and we're about to complete the 3rd year, just like before, 1, 2, and 3, leading into the drop 1, 2, and 3, and we're expecting a massive drop in the Bitcoin dominance, and that drop in the Bitcoin dominance should get altcoins soaring, right? Now, if you look at the prior cycles, we've seen some pretty substantial gains when it comes to the altcoin sector. If you have a look over here, you can see each cycle has what is labeled as the darling child, right? The best of the best altcoins for that particular cycle. We had XRP, we had EOS, we had NEO, and we had Litecoin, which are some of the most talked about coins in 2017. And these are the type of returns that we've previously seen. XRP putting in a massive 66,000% gain, EOS almost 5,000% gain. We had Litecoin putting in 8,300% gains. NEO, which was meant to be the Ethereum killer, putting in 1,500% gain. So if we fast forward to what happened in 2021, well, you'll notice there's this massive rotation, and the coins that were the top picks in 2017 were different to the picks that were the best in 2021. So if you look at this one over here, we had, of course, the likes of Cardano, which is currently putting in a bit of a run right now, putting in, if you look at this, insane gains, 2.3 million % gains, 11,400% on Solana, running up also from December of 2021 into the peak, right? You had AVAX over here, 6,000% gains. And then we had Luna with one of the most insane gains ever, 151,000%. And then, of course, that led to a major collapse. So each cycle is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have a look at some coins that could do potentially really well within this cycle. Again, guys, smash the like button. Let's get straight into the content. USDT breaking down. This is the dominance coming towards the downside, everything following exactly according to plan. The quicker this accelerates towards the downside, the quicker we'll start to see pumps, and it should follow the trajectory of what we've previously had. Nothing has changed from cycle to cycle, right? It just tends to rhyme, and maybe the timing is slightly off. So if you look at this over here, we're also waiting for what could bring that altcoin season, which is going to be the Federal Reserve's total assets inclining, right? So the red line over here should start to move back towards the upside. We're waiting for that complete pivot from the Fed where they transition from quantitative tightening back into quantitative easing, which means they're going to be buying back assets. When they start buying back assets, most people would want to trade alongside the Fed, and you should start to see a massive increase in terms of the stock market as well as crypto, which has that spillover effect. So if you study others against BTC and total 3 against BTC, you can see that things are really starting to press along over here. We have not yet got a breakup structure. On others, we're looking to break above this white line over here. We've got very, very close. If we have a strong week next week or the week after, you should see a breach of this level. And that means that every single dip that occurs from that point onwards becomes a time to allocate into the market, right? So if you look at total 3, same thing, really pressing into that level, which is going to be the break of structure. We have not yet got it. For now, this is still a downtrend of lower lows and lower highs, and it shows you haven't missed anything when it comes to the altcoin season. And these kind of returns, like we saw in 2017 and 2021, are still on the table. You just need to have your wits about you. You have to be focused and ready to position as soon as you see that transition above this line, which is going to be a breakup structure. So ETH BTC, we're still watching this very, very closely, very, very close to bottoming over here, especially timing wise. In terms of price wise, maybe you could get one more spike up in Bitcoin dominance, flush this down one more time. But ultimately, we're looking at some form of a bottom forming over here between now and the next 60 to 90 days, right? Anywhere between now and 60 to 90 days, we think Bitcoin dominance will top, ETH BTC will bottom, and we'll see the Fed transition back into quantitative easing with new money coming into the market. And that will drive that altcoin season index, at least towards the upside, which means now is probably a good time to start to allocate if you haven't already decided. I'm going to go through some of what I believe are some of the best picks in terms of new coins that weren't around in the price cycle. I'm going to be giving you 9 coins. If you do want to purchase any of these coins, by the way, all of these coins have been listed on Bitget, right? All of these coins have been listed on Bitget. There's a link in the description below, which will take you to the Bitget sign up page over there. You can click that link, sign up. They're actually giving you an amazing offer currently, which is a 10% cashback. So basically 10% reduction on all trading fees, pretty much into perpetuity. If you use that link below, sign up, and then you can purchase this entire portfolio that I'm about to drop for you on Bitget, right? So let's get into it. Let's continue. Here's the 9 coins. We're going to run through them pretty rapidly. Let's just see. I need to start on the right one. So what I did is I've had a look at the 1 week time frame to get a little bit of a high time frame perspective, and then I've had a look at the daily time frame to show you what the trajectory would look like and how you might see price reaccumulate and then continue to move towards the upside. So the first and foremost coin that I want to mention over here is going to be Toncoin. This is Toncoin currently on the weekly time frame. It is caught at the mid-range, which is theoretically a resistance area, but anything that you're buying in the bottom half of this zone is considered the discount zone of the trading range, and this would be the premium zone on the top side. We expect that Toncoin should appreciate in price and potentially even move all the way up towards that $12 mark in the short term, right? So Toncoin would be one that I would add into my portfolio. If you are looking to trade that on Bitget, consider getting Toncoin, right? This is what the daily would look like. We started to allocate right over here at this $5 mark. This is the Whale Remembers, which is part of the private Discord community. So we're currently up a lot on this trade. What I would expect now in the short term, this is looking at the daily time frame versus the other chart, which was the weekly, is probably a little bit of chop and consolidation at this between $6.50 and $6 mark. I think if you can pick any of this up around that $6 mark, this is going to be a sweet spot for the long term. And then we're looking for later on, possibly into December, January, a markup phase, which should lead this into that altcoin rally, at which point we expect that transition to occur on the Fed's assets, right? In terms of the Fed's assets. The next coin that I'm looking at over here is Casper, very similar to Ton in the fact that it's being caught at the mid-range level on the weekly scale, but it is finding support above that mid-range, right? So in terms of buy the dip zones, I'll give that to you now on the daily, but continue to watch this as it holds this range. Anything that you can buy around the mid-range or the range low is probably going to be a long-term good bet. Casper, I think, is going to be one of the coins to watch leading into the next phase of the cycle. It did outperform Bitcoin for pretty much the entirety of this bull run starting in 2023. And we'd be looking at this moving again in the short to medium time frame, at least up to that 28 cents region, which is going to give you about an 83-84% price move, right? So there is Casper. Here's your mid-range. If you can pick it up around that 14-cent region, any little pullbacks into the 14-cent region, I think is a great reaccumulation zone. Add it into your portfolio, and then you can look at this breaking and holding above 18 cents. Break and hold above 18 cents, and you're looking at that continuation up towards, as mentioned, around that 28 to 30 cents mark. Again, this is just a short to medium time frame. I think for the rest of the bull cycle, you could see some major gains. I'll remind you what some of these other coins did. What's very interesting about when you look at these other coins, by the way, from the 2020-21 cycle and the 2017 cycle, is most of the run actually began around that December time period, which is very similar to where we're at right now. So that's Casper for you. We have Ton, we have Casper. That would be in my portfolio. I already have it in my portfolio. But if you have no allocation to the crypto market right now, you're someone that's new coming in, you're watching this for the first time, these are some of the opportunities there for you. Next one, 𝗬𝗓, right? 𝗬𝗓 wasn't around in the price cycle. You can see this is what the chart looks like. We also managed to get a very early entry into 𝗬𝗓. So we're up a lot on this trade. It's currently finding support at the 1.618 fib extension. This is a typical profit-taking zone. In this instance, 𝗬𝗓 overshot that 1.618 fib extension, which came in at a price point of $3.23. Now, you should be expecting a consolidation, and it should defend the prior last week's candle low, which is coming in just above that $2.50 region. So expect a little bit of chop, a little bit of consolidation, and then eventually I'd expect this to mark all the way up to the 3.618, which is going to bring 𝗬𝗓 up to about $6.65. So in terms of the chart, this is more or less what you're looking at. A little bit of a pause, a little bit of chop within this region over here. Defend last week's low. That's kind of where you have a bit of an invalidation, and then you can look at continuation. We initially got long over here, right at the final shakeout. This was following a falling wedge formation, broke back into the trading range, and then ultimately marked up. I didn't expect that it would do this well, but I'm glad that I had my bags packed entry at 46 cents. If I was looking for a new entry, this would be the zone. Now, of course, this is going to be completely dependent on what Bitcoin does. If there is a massive flush within Bitcoin, which is always a possibility, and Bitcoin drops about 15%, then you could expect that 𝗬𝗓 could very easily come all the way back down towards the range breakout level over here, which is around that $2 mark. So consider staggering your orders on this particular one. Maybe allocate a smaller amount at the moment if you are looking to get into 𝗬𝗓, since it's already had such a massive run over here. But longer term, I think this does very well, and I think anything that does come down towards $2 is an area where I'll probably be buying a whole lot more. So that's 𝗬𝗓. Next up, we have Injective, also one of the coins that wasn't around in the prior bull run, and has had a lot of partnerships and at least integrations with Solana, right? So when Solana does well, you expect that Injective should also do well. Very similar to the first picks that we gave, that being Toncoin and Casper, in the fact that it's sitting right around that mid-range level. So there's Injective on the weekly scale, sitting right around that mid-range level. We're looking at this to put a move in very soon. If it can get and reclaim above the $30 mark over here, you can start to work up towards $45, which is going to be your range high. But at the end of the day, remember, when you view a range like this, that's your range high, that's your mid-range, and that's your range low. This range, anywhere between mid-range and range low, is theoretically a reaccumulation zone, also known as your discount zone, where you're looking to get allocated into this particular position, and this becomes your premium zone. Grinding and holding into the premium zone typically leads to that breakout. So on Injective short to medium time frame, I'd be looking for a move all the way up to around that $70 mark, giving you from current price levels about 150% price move. So this is the expectation. We've spoken about this chart a lot. We were allocating all the way down here on the first high low from the falling wedge formation, as it was attempting to reclaim. It came back down, very similar to a lot of the other coins, creating that shakeout, just like 𝗬𝗓. 𝗬𝗓's shakeout came a little bit lower, but many of these chart patterns have looked super similar, right? So finding support around that $15 to $16 zone, and now it started to move, right? So on the daily time frame, it has reclaimed the mid-range. You're looking to get above the range high over here, which would be the equivalent of reclaiming the weekly mid-range, right? So get above that range high, and that starts to open up the next levels. I'll then expect a quick move up to about $48. find a little bit of resistance, consolidate, pause over there, and then I think Injective should shoot all the way up to about $72. So that's more or less on the daily time frame what your trajectory is probably going to look like, right? Now, the next one that I have over here is Render. Render was around in 2021 cycle, but I thought I'd give special mention to it because the chart pattern at least looks really, really good for an entry. I've recently entered into this. Those of you who have watched the show a whole lot know that it was just a couple of weeks ago that we started to allocate into this position in anticipation of a break of that downsloping trend line. Again, we're looking at it on the weekly chart, and they have rebranded instead of RNDR, it's now RENDER. So Render, spelling out the full word over there. But essentially, you had your cup and handle formation, big breakout, came and threw back into the breakout zone over there. So weekly support, and I'm looking in the short term for a move up of about 156% on Render. This is under the AI sector. So everything that I've given over here, has, of course, layer ones to give you those blue chips and the stability, which has been up until, of course, the last coin, Injective. And now I've given you at least something that you can look at in terms of AI. And then I'll give you also something in the meme coin sector. This is what I would consider a relatively safe portfolio, which you can hold for the rest of the cycle. So it's not too high risk. It's also not very low risk. It's kind of somewhere in between, considered as mid caps, but still touching on layer ones, AI, and then the meme coin sector, which we believe will be the top performing sectors of this particular cycle. So I think that Render could easily push to the 3.618 extension when the market does start to transition into that alt season, which, remember, we measuring as one of the ways that happens is when the Fed starts to buy back assets, and we see a massive uptick over there. So that is over there for you, Render on the weekly scale, looking for move up to 1250, probably find a bit of resistance, and then a move up to $20 at the 1.618 extension. So here it is. This was the trade that we're looking for. This is how we got allocated in Whale Room. We're watching for the sweep of those equal lows to take that liquidity. We got the sweep. Price pushed up, immediately rallied, reclaiming the short-term range breakout level over there, which was just about that $6 mark. And now we're expecting continuation from this point, right? So again, major level of resistance coming in between $11 and $12. But if you can break and hold above that, you should get a big move up to the $20 mark, which is the next area of interest. All right. The other AI coin that I'm looking at over here, which wasn't around in the last cycle, is 𝗬, right? So 𝗬 on the weekly scale, putting in macro higher lows over there. We have a throwback into the SR flip region. So you can see prior resistance over there, looking to flip this now into support around that $400 mark. Price is, of course, trading at 536. And ultimately, from current price to the next extension, I'm looking at about a 90% move over there. So 𝗬 is part of my portfolio. This is what the trade setup looks like. We actually dropped this trade setup for the people that were signed up to Whale School. We did this in one of the actual live workshop cohorts. By the way, if any of you do want to join into Whale School, there's a link. If you click that over there, it will take you to this page. You have 10 days left in which you can sign up. So the countdown is running. Yesterday, we had 20% of the spots still available. So join while you still can. You can learn how to trade in just 10 days. We're going to do an accelerator course, given the at least the urgency of what's happening within the market, to get anyone new up to scratch with what's going on in the market. Okay, so that is, let's go on to onto 𝗬 over there on the daily. This is the trade setup. If you get a throwback into that region over there, which is going to be around that 477, that's going to be an area where you can load up, right? So expectation, find resistance at 700, break and hold above that, and then you're going to get rapid price appreciation from that point. So moving into the meme coins, I consider these blue chip memes that could do well over time and probably will do well over time. And this is just a short to medium time frame, at least play. Once you start to hit these extensions and these targets, you can always take out your initial capital to reduce your risk and then side with caution, right? So then you can be careful for the rest of the cycle, and then you can let your profits ride, which should be more than enough in the event that we do actually play out something crazy like these gains that we saw in 2017 and 2021, right? So there's dog with hat on the weekly scale, we've broken the downsloping trend line. We've had a nice reaccumulation range over here. Price pushing up into this zone over here is going to find a little bit of resistance. That would be the neckline. But if you can break and hold above the neckline, expect the extension to the 1.618, which should take it to $7. I think that it's not out of the question that you'll see 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 trading just below $15 at some point within the cycle. On the daily time frame, this is what it would look like. You're looking for any pullback that comes down into this $3 region as a premium zone where you can start to allocate, right? So that's a prime zone, higher lows throughout, higher highs. You've had the break of structure, throw back into that level over there around $3. That's going to be a zone where you can start to allocate into the 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 position. Next one that I'm looking at over here is, of course, MOG, also an absolutely wonderful chart with a perfect accumulation zone over here, long-term accumulation zone, high, high low, high low, high, again, another high low, and then price just continuing to melt towards the upside. So we have strong levels of resistance over here, which price has now breached through. If it can continue to hold above these white lines, testing that as support, you can expect expansion, right? And that expansion, I'll be looking at about 179% move on MOG. MOG is built on ETH. So if Ethereum runs and that ETH BTC chart starts to move towards the upside, let's just go to that chart over there. If you start to see the ETH BTC chart breaking out, you expect that most of the coins that are on ETH are going to do super well, right? So the likes of MOG, Pepe, for example, those will also do well. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 is, of course, on Solana, and I've kind of tried to build this portfolio, these picks around that, right? So here's MOG. These are the levels. I'm going to just read the last couple of digits. They're written in the white on the right-hand side of the screen, and that refers to this line over here. If you get a throwback into 2177, that's going to be a prime area where you want to find support and then look for expansion from that point. Now, it will test your patience. This is what the market typically does. Again, I just want to go back to these positions over here. If you have a look at these moves over here, you can see, test your patience. You chop about, and then just rapidly you get major expansion and it goes full vertical, right? So you want to be adequately positioned. It's all about understanding the timing cycles, right? Where we are within the cycle and when things are about to go expansive. So we've covered these things a whole lot on the channel. We've been right 99% of the times. So again, guys, use risk management, make your own choice. But personally, I'm looking to allocate into those levels. I'm already long on MOG. Next one that we have over here is GigaChad, right? GigaChad on the weekly scale had an absolutely stellar move, throwing back right now into what's a critical area. We don't have that much previous chart history to work with. So consequently, all that we can look at is these strong SR flip regions, right? So previous resistance over there, price rolling through, broke back above, tested it a couple of times, led to a big move up, and now you're throwing back into that level. That is your SR flip region on the weekly scale, and I'm looking for fib extension move on this all the way up to about 14 cents, which is going to be 268% from the current level. So there it is, GigaChad pulling back into these levels, 0.0309. That's the level if you do get any wicks that move into that zone. Again, written on the right-hand side, 0.030991. That is the area to gain your entry. We initially went along over here in the Whale Room Discord from this yellow box over here. So we're still up around 200 to 300%, even at current prices. And if it comes into the zone, I might actually allocate a little bit more by shaving some of my BTC profits into GigaChad. Now, there's a lot that I haven't mentioned. I can see MT says, FOG. There's, of course, Aether, Moodeng. There's a lot of great coins out there. There's Brett. And we know that we allocated into these, right? There's a whole lot of different opportunities. But these are just the ones TA-wise or technical analysis-wise that are coming perfectly into the zones, which I found worthy to allocate into. So let me just quickly pull this across over here. As you can see, I hold a vast amount of different coins over here in my portfolio. This is one of my portfolios on Bitget. I've, of course, hidden them out just for privacy purposes, guys. But if you do want to sign up to Bitget, you will get your sign-up bonus. The link is in the description below. You're getting up to $30,000. I guess what's more important about that is when you do sign up, you can also stand the chance to win one full Bitcoin, right? So we're going to be using those user IDs. You can go through to the Banter Bubbles once you've signed up. Guess the price of what Bitcoin will be by the 1st of January as the clock strikes 12. That's this year. Whoever comes closest will get a full Bitcoin, one full Bitcoin, which, as you know, is valued around $100,000 currently, right? Also, what I recommend is go through to this page. I've summarized, everything regarding how to sign up to an exchange if you're somebody that's new. There is if you go underneath the newsletter over there, sign up to the crypto newsletter, Whale Crypto Trades, click on that, it will take you through to this page. We'll show you why this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This article is over there. You'll find it over there, how to get set up on Bitget, as well how to claim your rewards. Everything is listed in that page over there. And then again, guys, of course, you have Whale School, and then you have Whale Room, which we're running the Black Friday special right now. You have 6 days left to take advantage of this. That is if you want to be in the private Discord where we drop all the calls alpha, and we have 4 other coaches which will hold your hand through this journey. So that's from me, folks. Thank you so much for joining. I'll catch all of you on the next one. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and cheers for now.